Hi, welcome to my podcast, Talking Travel with Wendy. I travel the globe interviewing really cool people in small hospitality and tourism businesses. Join me each week as I discover and share something or someone new with you. You can find more at www.travelwithwendy.net. And remember, it's always an adventure when you travel with Wendy. I'm finally back. This first half of 2024 has been a blur. Thanks for sticking with me. It's been a hot second since my last podcast, so I appreciate your following. After the Virgin Voyage in February, I traveled to Portugal for a small group tour that began in Lisbon. Then we went to Porto, did a river cruise along the Douro Valley, and after that, John and I spent 9 days in the Algarve along Portugal's southern coast. Then we made our way back to the States and went to Austin, Texas for some barbecue for the weekend. And then I headed to Napa Valley for a girls trip. So it was very much needed and I'm happy to share. So here it is, my Napa Valley girls trip. My friend Kelly and I have seen many European countries together, but we haven't seen much of America, and I'm not sure Vegas counts. So when she moved to California and suggested Napa Valley for a girls trip, I said, heck yeah. Both lovers of European wine, what a great suggestion. Spring in California, what could be more wonderful? So we grabbed Vicky and Penny. Vicky, my fellow travel advisor friend, Travel by Vicky. You can see her in a lot of my posts. And her bestie, Penny. We all set out for a great week in Napa Valley. Kelly organized this one and found a bunch of unique and different tours as well as tastings that might give us a good variety. So today's podcast, I'll share how we got to Napa, where we stayed, our tastings and tours, fun and shopping around Napa, great eats, and more. So first up, how we got there. So of course you can drive here if you're close by, but gas was pretty expensive. It was almost $6 a gallon, and that's a lot more than Alabama. The locals told us it had come down, but eek. We're all military spouses coming from all over America, Ohio, California, Alabama. So it was planes, trains, and automobiles to get there. But we decided to grab some Ubers from the San Francisco airport, and it was about $120 one way for an hour and a half drive. I have discovered the Wine Country Airporter. It's this transfer service that picks you up or takes you. And if you visit their website, I'll put the links below. It's affordable and easier to get to and from Napa, and it's half the price. This would definitely be the way to go if you want to be carless. Okay, so where we stayed, Kelly found a fantastic apartment condo, Airbnb for us within walking distance of downtown Napa, the Villa Murialdo. Napa. I think I said that right. I'll put the links below too. Our apartment was a 2-bedroom, 2-bath unit, and we also had a little porch balcony, plenty of amenities and space, a full kitchen with an eat-in area, a large living room, a washer and dryer, and more. There are different units that have like 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and our bedrooms were spacious, had plenty of storage, dressers, closet space. The shower pressure was spot on. They had shampoos and conditioners and body wash available too. The apartment was very secure, had covered parking, and we had wonderful weather. And if you stay here, tell Frank I sent you. So here's some tastings and tours that Kelly had organized. And of course, we didn't want to be tasting and driving. That would be foolish and not smart. So Kelly found a way that we could take a tour that had transportation included. The first one we did was Platypus Tours. Their website is user-friendly. They offer several different types of tours to choose from. And we wanted to visit Sonoma Valley because we were staying in Napa. So we chose the Sonoma Valley tour. Our tour included 3 wineries, lunch, and transportation. These are small group focused, and we only had 8 travelers and tasters with us on our day of exploration. These are the 3 wineries we visited on our tour, and our tour guide Dave was awesome. However, he was camera shy, so no photos of him, unfortunately, but grateful he took so many photos of us. So check out the blog if you want to see those. They also nicely upload your pics of the day to this app that you can easily add to your library, and it was a really great service. Here's a travel tip. Schedule a midweek tour or tasting. There are less crowds and more availability. Our first winery in the morning was Loxton Winery. This boutique winery is located in the heart of Sonoma Valley. Smaller producers are able to create such great wines, and this was definitely one of my favorite visits. The tour was personal and succinct and very interesting. Mary, our tour guide, was really fantastic. We enjoyed our tasting out at a picnic table under the trees surrounded by vineyards with explanations of the grapes, their growing process, and the history of the winery. Chris Loxton is a fifth-generation wine grower and was equally passionate about his wine. And she apologized for him not being there, but I do hope to meet him when I go back. This winery also had foudre barrels, and they were super cool. They are these oval barrels that you just have to see for me to explain. I did take a picture, they're in the blog, but foudre barrels are made from French oak and they help the wine fermentation, and it's just different and it's pretty to look at than traditional barrels. And the learning process for the grapes and their fermenting was really super cool. It was the first time I'd experienced that. For more information though, you're gonna have to go to one of the tastings. Here's a fatal flaw that we made on this touring day is that we did not grab a bite of breakfast before we took off. So I definitely encourage you to do eat something before you head out. Dave did remind us that it was in the information that Platypus had sent us, but I guess we were just too excited that we completely forgot and didn't do that. So definitely having a full stomach before you do 3 wine tastings is very important. Our next winery was Caton Vineyards. Our sommelier and tour guide, Paul, was hysterical. Full of stories and legends, he had our sides aching. We enjoyed our picnic lunch here, just adjacent to one of the vineyards. They had a wonderful rosé of Syrah that I grabbed too. And our picnic was healthy and paired very well with the wine that Paul was serving. This is a family winery with Ty's mom who helps with large catering events, and it's all hands on deck during harvest to production and promotion. The stories here will have you cracking up laughing. Our last tasting of the day was at Deerfield Creek Winery, one of the prettiest wine caves I've been to, and as you drive into the property, it's quite picturesque as well. Our tour was the last of the day, so I definitely had heartbeats for our tour guide, Bill. Poor thing. He was amazing and actually gave me a personal challenge for naming that grape. Of course, I failed miserably because I know nothing of California grapes, and it turned out it was a Cabernet Franc, and I loved it. And I'm not a big fan of Cabernet Sauvignon. I know most people like this grape, but it is just not mine. And I love a grape that's a bit challenging, difficult, maybe hard to grow, and you just can't name it. So that sounds kind of familiar. My favorite grape is the Barbera grape of Piedmont, Italy, and honestly, I just haven't found a grape similar to that in the States. It might have to do with the sun, soil, and harvest, who knows, but I really did enjoy the Cabernet Franc, and I did like certain Pinot Noirs, which is also another finicky grape. Yes, I see a pattern here. So one of the other travel tips I have is to prepare yourself for Napa and the tastings. They were extremely different than the wine tastings I've had in Europe, where there's sometimes no fee at all for the tasting, or it's a few dollars if you don't buy any wine. But the tastings in Napa were really expensive in my opinion. It was between $50 and $150 per tasting, and then if you purchased the wine, it went towards your tasting or went towards the wine. So I was just kind of in sticker shock because you can taste at all these wineries in Europe and there's no fee at all. So that's just a heads up as you're making your travel plans. Since we were staying in Napa, we also visited a few tasting rooms located right in town and were within walking distance of the villa. Be sure to make a reservation before you go, but there are a plethora of tastings along First Street in Napa that you can sign up to do, but you definitely need a reservation. So the first up was Quilt and Co, located right on Main Street in Napa. It's an elegant, refined bar that has a rooftop tasting area that we really enjoyed our tasting. Cassidy, our server sommelier, was very knowledgeable about Joseph Wagner, fifth generation winemaker and a local boy who grew up right in Napa Valley. They also have a wine wax dipping room. I was very interested in that, and of course I thought it was a cheese fondue room. I had no clue what I was looking at. The staff had a good laugh at my expense. It's all right. I'm okay with it. Next, we visited the John Anthony Vineyards, which is also on First Street in Napa. This was a very elegant tasting room and a different style and design feature than Quilt and Company, but we really enjoyed our tasting with Allison here too. We learned so much about the different varietals and the history of the family, the church property and their vintages. Their attention to detail as well during our tasting was great. And one of the best features I found for this tasting experience is you can have it customized. We were in the middle of the day. We'd already done the tasting at Quilt and Company, and we kind of just wanted to relax and enjoy a moment without tasting so many wines. So we each picked a different grape, and Allison went through what those grapes were that turned into wonderful wine. And so I would say that was one of my favorite visits too. Our last call of the day was at Mayacamas tasting room. This open air tasting room was fun and casual, and our sommelier and new friend Sean was courteous and helpful. We decided to get 4 different flight tastings. So I will say, word of caution, be careful of the flights because it's a lot of wine. So you can actually share a flight with your friends if you guys are okay with sharing glasses, because it was like way too much wine for us. But it was a whole lot of fun. And then we ordered a large charcuterie board, and it was this gorgeous blend of cheeses and meats that went perfect with the wine that Sean had recommended. So another travel tip is most of the tasting rooms will require a credit card on file when you're making the tasting reservation, but you won't get charged until you arrive. So be sure to check their website for more information, or if you decide to call and make the reservation, just verify that information with each tasting room before you go. Our last tasting day, Kelly discovered Dotto Winery and Caves. Driving up to the Dotto Vineyards is like being back in Italy, surrounded by vineyards and greeted by this palatial estate. This wine tasting was definitely one for the books. Our tasting and tour included the wine cave and the property, which dates back to 1885. We enjoyed the cave experience and barrel tasting, and this tour was super cool because it was a wine thief tasting. And if you're unfamiliar with this kind of tasting, it's quite surprising. This is where the guide sneaks a little wine out of the barrel to allow you to taste it before it's quite ready. Why would you do this, would you say? Well, that's because it's in the middle of the process of the color, aroma, and taste. And I'm excited because this cork dork, I was totally geeking out. And I actually bought some futures for varieties that I won't get until November. This was one of the only Sangiovese grapes that we tasted during our tour, and I am a Tuscan girl too, and I was super thrilled that we were able to find one. They offered us a light lunch, which included fresh pizza and tater tots, which helped with the wine. So with ties to Naples, they actually have the chef whipping up the pizzas right as you walk in to the winery. Here's another travel tip. I love all this wine, but how do I get it home? Well, thanks to Dave, our Platypus guide, for sharing this tip. We ended up being able to ship back to our home states for a little bit of a price, but it was the Buffalo Shipping Company. My state is a bit more difficult because, well, it's Alabama. Anyway, my shipment has to go to an ABC store, and then I have to pick it up, and I had to pay a separate tax. Heads up, it was only 40 cents per bottle. Yes, $3.20 for my 8 bottles for the tax, but it did cost me $100 to ship that back to Alabama. So I didn't feel like that was too bad. If you divide it up between 8 bottles, it was an okay price. Shipping has gone through the roof. Here's a few good eats that we had while we were in Napa that I wanted to share. The first up was Napkins Bar and Grill. I actually got a chance to eat here twice, and this is located on Main Street, so it's within walking distance of most of the sights to see in the Napa Village. They offered a variety of fun drinks, from a blood orange margarita to a lychee martini, and there is a 2-page wine list. Everything in Napa and the Valley and Sonoma is all about wine. Our group enjoyed a habanero chicken, a halibut dish, and I had a honey drizzled brie truffle appetizer that was holy yum, very good. Everyone raved about their dinner choices, and we had a few ladies cap it off with an espresso martini that was definitely professionally made. Another favorite dinner spot was Oenotri. This is an Italian restaurant with artisanal flair, and of course I'm going to like it. This was located on First Street, and it was molto bene. It specializes in pizzas, homemade pastas, and southern Italian specialties. And everyone was going to like this because who doesn't love southern Italian, Sicilian foods, right? Salads, pastas. And we also had a little gem salad, which was made with an anchovy vinaigrette and Meyer lemon. We also enjoyed fresh-made pasta alla arrabbiata with Calabrian chilies and lumaci pasta with pork ragu, onions, tomatoes, and Parmesan Reggiano. Another place that we visited was the Andaz Farmer's Table for breakfast. This was located inside the Hyatt Hotel on First Street as well, and we needed a full breakfast before our next tasting day, so we stopped in here. I enjoyed an avocado toast, and some of the girls had full breakfasts with pancakes and eggs, and the coffee really was incredible and a really pretty setting too. Sweetie Pie's was another breakfast place, and it was very close to our apartment, and you need to eat the breakfast like I was telling you. Sweetie Pie's had sandwiches, breakfast sandwiches, and also oatmeal breakfast choices, smoothies, as well as cakes and pastries. And the service was really great as well. We also had a lot of fun when we were in Napa. Of course, a girls' weekend is not complete without karaoke, and we enjoyed a couple nights of karaoke at Downtown Joe's with Karaoke with George. And George Barik is the karaoke guy of Napa, and so we kind of followed him around during our week. He was at a couple different bars. And here's my secret to karaoke. If you start singing anything from Journey, like Don't Stop Believin', everybody's going to sing along with you, so nobody will hear you sing anyway. And my friend Kelly knocked it out of the park with 9 to 5 from the one and only Dolly. So she did awesome too, because everybody knows those words. Anyway, we had a lot of fun, and most people hit it out of the park with a little H&O, Hall & Oates, and some Starship. So these 80s girls were totally rocking it. So just to recap, we really had the most amazing time in Napa Valley, and I will definitely be heading back for another trip. Whether it's a girls' trip or maybe a couples trip, I'm not sure, but with happy hearts and unforgettable memories. So where should we go next? Speaking of wine experiences, I just wanted to mention our 2025 small group trip to Tuscany next June. My friend Sarah Cummins and I have put together a Tranquility and Tuscany retreat located at an 18th century restored monastery in Cortona. I'm so excited. What's included? We have 2-bedroom private apartments with shared spaces, delicious meals that are served daily, that are prepared locally and regional specialties, and wine while you're at the resort. So if you're a wino, definitely want to join us. We're going to explore the beauty of the region and see a few destinations that are on everyone's list. The airport transfer to and from the retreat is also going to be included, as well as the daily yoga and breathing practices, which are optional but are available. Whether you're a seasoned yogi or just beginning your journey, Sarah's going to guide you through this peaceful and balancing practice while we're in a serene garden and the setting of the valley. It is an organic farm on a vineyard too, so this is going to be so cool. So don't miss this opportunity to join us for this week of relaxation, mindfulness, while we're in one of the most beautiful regions of Italy. So grab a friend, your spouse, and join us in Tuscany, June 20th to the 28th. There are still a few rooms left, so get it while we can book those flights inexpensively. For more information, check out the links in the description below. It's always an adventure when you travel with Wendy. Till next time, ciao.